if you're out in the surf and you're not expecting a 14-foot, 2,000-pound white shark to swim by, even if it's just a cool interaction, well, it'd be kind of cool to me if I made it, swim by, look at, you know, people, it's a shock to the system because there was this time where great whites, of course, were more common, and there was all the persecution and the long lining impact and the nets and all the different things that have happened. Now we seem to have definitely more data about them, and
Mhm.
that's got to be important. So before we go into all the cool data and research, let's talk about Carcara non-carcarius, the great white shark. Tell us about the shark itself. What, other than the fact it's, uber famous, they get big, what makes this shark truly unique?
Oh, I mean, I think when everybody hears the word shark, that is the
Mhm.
species that pops into their mind right away.
For sure, yeah.
Um, and I have been obsessed with these animals ever since I was a kid.
Me
I
too.
grew up in Florida. I just remember reading National Geographic, seeing people cage diving with them, and there's just something about the size of the animal that
Mhm.
really sticks with you. The first one I saw off the coast of Cape Cod was like a 15-footer, and at
Wow.
that size, they weigh well over 2,000 pounds, and I had been thinking about this moment my whole life, and I still
Yep.
think I just giggled for like half an hour. It was like seeing a unicorn. I almost couldn't process it.
I I get it. I told you before that I got to cage dive in the Farallons. We
Yeah.
saw 4 breach that day, and everybody there were 4 other people on the boat for that cage dive, and, you know, they were in awe, but they had a completely different reaction. I mean, I was like this thing that I had dreamed about my entire life just showed up in
Mhm.
front of me, and it was real. Like, I knew they're real, of course, but, like, they are real, you
Yeah,
know?
it's like, "Oh my gosh, wait, they really are real."
Yeah, and you mentioned National Geographic. When I was a kid, I had this book, Dangerous Sea
Yes.
Creatures from Time Life books, and of course, Jaws was what got me into great whites, Jacques Cousteau ocean specials, all that stuff. But this book was huge to me, and there's a picture I'm gonna show you, and every time I see it, think great white, that picture comes to mind.
Oh, yeah, I know that picture.
Yeah,
That is
that's like this infamous picture, and I'm like, "That's the coolest thing ever." Uh, and so they have that iconic status that makes people in awe of them. And they're such a big shark. Do you know offhand what the maximum weight would be on one of these guys?
Yeah, so the largest reliably measured white shark
Mhm.
that was not weighed because it was so big, but the largest reliably measured one was about 21 feet long.
Mhm.
So that is, a big animal lengthwise, but what is so impressive, and if you've been to the Farallons, you've seen some of these really big
Mhm.
ones, is the really big white sharks. Their width, their girth
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
much more impressive than their absolute length because they're just such powerful, muscular animals. So they can get to be over 4,000 pounds when they get to be really big, which is just I think that's part of the reason we're so fascinated with them. They're the
Mhm.
largest kind of truly predatory fish species.
Yep.
Whale sharks and basking sharks get bigger, but they're filter
Mhm.
feeders, so
Yep.
they don't kind of hold the same mystique.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible to think that there are these large predators out there. And one thing about the white shark, despite their iconic status, is there's
Mhm.
just still so much we don't even know about their basic biology. So
Mhm.
they're still so mysterious. But they can get to be huge. I'm sure you've seen some of the footage of Deep Blue, who is
Mhm.
the largest known living white shark. One of the scientists I work with, he actually got to cage dive and met Deep Blue in person and tagged
Yikes.
her, which is just like I can't even imagine what it's always such a humbling experience to
Mhm.
be in the presence of an animal that large and that powerful. And white sharks, I mean, they get to be over 70 years old, we know now.
Wow.
Which
Wow.
is, it's also humbling when you think not only is this a really large, powerful predator, but they live as long as people do. And, the ocean isn't an easy place to make a living. So anytime we see one of those really big ones, I just, you have to have respect for
Absolutely.
that animal.